whatever. Wins are wins. You have to admit that Friday night's meltdown versus Louisville does hurt a little bit less, knowing that UCF is headed to the Big 12. Like it just does. It hurts. It sucks. You don't want to lose. It was terrible the way that it happened, and then the injury that happened that followed suit. But the fact that UCF is in the Big 12 has to come into account when you're talking about the pain tolerance as a fan. It matters. Are you still not there?
I'm not there because
this sucks.
I'm not there. And here's the reason. Because in my UCF fandom, the goal wasn't Power 5 conference. The goal was national championship. And so inside or outside of a Power 5 conference, if you take away my pathway that looks very direct, not necessarily easy, but I can see this pathway to the national championship. You take that away, put some rocks in the way and move me around a little bit. And that's what's got me more dismayed. And being in the Big 12 doesn't compensate for that.
But being a national champion, that's an unrealistic goal.
Stop.
Even if you're just saying, if you were to just say, I want UCF to be in the national conversation.
Well, that's the first step.
Then we can have that conversation. But if your goal was them winning a national championship, then you were never going to be happy.
Well, I guess
it wasn't going to happen.
When I say national championship, we have to take the road and the step to the national championship. But the way I'm looking at it is, in order for us to get past we're in the conversation, we need 2 years of undefeated seasons. That loss kills it. It's done. The pathway is destroyed. We start all over again starting next season.
So if UCF wins the rest of their games this year, feels like a failure? Absolutely not.
No, not a failure.
Your goals are still in front of you because you haven't started conference play yet. You're still in the AAC. The goal is to win the conference.
Absolutely.
And then get into a really good bowl game. All of those things can still happen for UCF.
You're right. But that's not the goal. That's a goal. And I think a lot of people have created this alternate universe where the goal was to get into a Power 5 conference and the goal is to win the conference championship. No, those are singular goals. The real goal is to win the national championship. And to do that, you've got to be in the conversation. So you start down that road. So I'm glad we're in the Big 12, but it doesn't make this loss sting any less.
I think one of the things that bothers UCF fans, if I can speak for those out there, it is as much as the loss bothers you, it was that the same warts that you saw last year with a team that really bothered you in the way that they played under Josh Hypo, the big plays given up on defense, just like a lack of interest in tackling, penalties at bad moments, turnovers at inopportune time, weird play calling at certain times, these things that we saw last year under Hypo. They kind of rear their ugly head with Gus Malzahn, and you're like, damn it. Because a lot of us, and I was in this group, was looking at that team last year and went, it was Hypo. Hypo was the problem.
Yeah.
If you told me Josh Hypo was still the coach of UCF, I would totally believe it. That looked exactly the same, a mirror image of the type of games that he would lose when coaching UCF. And that's, to me, the most bothersome part. The loss sucks, but all of your realistic goals are still in front of you. The problem is that now without Dillon Gabriel and with the work that you showed that don't even involve Dillon Gabriel in that game or quarterback play at all, I don't know if those goals are even attainable now. Is that your realistic goals? I don't even know if you can realistically get there.
Right.
Maybe the realistic goals are unrealistic at this point.
It definitely puts a damper on. It puts some shade on the idea that you're going to run through conference play now and find yourself in the American Conference Championship and take a W, head your way into a New Year's Six bowl. Not saying that it can't be done, because I have all faith and favor in the UCF Knights and Gus Malzahn, but it really kind of pulls that lean, that hope, that excitement. Because before it was a guarantee. Every UCF fan would have told you, oh, we're about to roll through the American Conference. We're going to be in the American Conference Championship game without a doubt. Now it's, well, I really hope that we can roll through the American Conference and end up in the conference championship.
If UCF can stand with Cincinnati based on the way that they've looked early on, then they're a lot better than they look right now. Hopefully they can get to that point. And hopefully their new quarterback is good enough to do it. Here's my blessing in disguise for UCF. I don't know if you've heard me say this yet. I put it out on my personal podcast page, throw it up as a blog post. But I think that Dillon Gabriel's injury is a blessing in disguise for UCF. And here's why. Dillon Gabriel getting hurt early in the year with an injury, a clavicle injury that is going to take him out for the rest of the season. So there's no point in bringing him back. Medically redshirt him. That would then give him 2 more years of eligibility. And then what happens in 2 years? UCF's in the Big 12. And Dillon Gabriel could still be your quarterback. When, if this season went the way that you wanted it to go, yeah, UCF would have a better year. But by the time you got to the Big 12, giant question mark as to who your quarterback is. Now there's not. Dillon Gabriel's probably going to be the quarterback for UCF year 1 in the Big 12. And now you've got a chance to compete right away. That's a blessing in disguise because that's what really matters. Other stuff with Stefan next.